Hmm. Hey, what's up? I guess it's squirreling time again, which means I guess it's also time for Mind Spiders Part 2. If you didn't see Part 1, you should probably watch Part 1, because Part 2 is not going to make much sense if you hadn't watched Part 1. Might not make much sense anyway, but if we're lucky, it'll be a weird enough story that you might want to listen to it anyway. So if you watched episode 1, you'll know I finished my months-long journey as a space captain and returned to my bedroom. If this is your first random squirrel, you should know that I'm going to sound like a completely insane person and talk about shit that sounds completely unreal and fantastical, as though it really happened, because from my perspective it seemed as though it really did, and I'm simply maintaining an open perspective about it. And I entertain the possibility that it may have actually happened, and it may not have actually happened. But either way, the experience was a transformative one, and one that I shall remember for my entire life. So I guess I'll get on with it a bit more. Well, there's a train. It's not going the way I want. Then again, when the universe throws opportunities at you, you should get run over by a train. I mean, no, wait, that's not right. You should get on the train. See where it takes you. Go with the flow. Same could be said of having an experience similar to the one that I was having after consuming some wild fungi. And if you should get the crazy idea in your head to go out into the woods and start eating random mushrooms to see what happens, that's a very, 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 very bad idea, because a lot of the fungi and mushrooms are highly poisonous and toxic, and terrible things will happen to you, and it will not be a good time. So don't do that. just a warning, in case you don't know. I mean, it sounds crazy. I'm gonna sidetrack here. It's random squirrels. I'm gonna get squirreled for a sec, so sorry. My mom was a teacher, and she was teaching in a small school, and her kind of grade spread for her class was grades 9 through 11. So, in Canada, grade 9 is, how old would they be? Probably 13, 14, maybe 12, I can't remember. It's been a long time since I was in grade 9. But, early teens, right? She may have even had some grade 8s, and, something like that, but... So, she was talking about something, I don't know what it was, right? And they get on the topic of where your food comes from. And some of the kids were genuinely shocked and horrified to realize that hamburger is ground up cow, and that milk comes from cow boobs. Like the shocked, horrified, like, oh my god, we're never gonna eat it again. Terrible. Oh shit, that was almost traumatic. Welcome to Toledo Bay. Interesting thing about coming into town on a train is you always see the asshole. The dirty, hairy, unwashed asshole of the world. They don't dress up the back end of anything facing the train tracks. Train squirrel, I guess. Mind Spiders, Part 2. Hi, welcome. So, I went downstairs. My buddy was down there watching something on TV, I don't know what. Probably hockey, which I'm not into, it's not my sort of thing. So he's watching hockey, but thankfully he's got, Pink Floyd on the surround sound while he's watching hockey, so I'm like, alright, I can dig it. I'll just chill out on the couch, close my eyes, listen to Pink Floyd. And, on a side note, I'll mention a couple of interesting things. At one point I was so deep in thought that I completely, again, forgot about, the physical world within which my body was laying on a couch, right? And so deep in thought that I was not at all perceiving that world. It was completely kind of cut off to where my brain was, where my consciousness was. And one of my other roommates walked in and was standing basically right in front of me on the couch and almost sat on me. and was asking the other guy watching hockey where I was. And I was laying in plain sight on the couch, right? And I don't know, I guess I must have somehow been aware of them speaking about me, and I kind of came to. I was like, yeah, I'm right here. And my roommate damn near jumped out of her skin. Like, she's like, holy shit, I didn't see you at all. Like it wasn't, like you weren't even there. And so that, in a way, it kind of corroborated my sort of impression that I'd had, that my consciousness was definitely somewhere else. And to the point where I was so much, my consciousness was so much somewhere else that someone had walked into the room that I was laying on the couch in, you know, in plain sight with the lights, kind of, there was light, you know, it wasn't like super dark or anything. I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt probably, who knows? I mean, it's not like I was wearing camouflage laying on a camouflage couch or something. And they completely didn't see me. So that was intriguing. But more back to the point. Listening to Pink Floyd, you know, on a few different albums, Dark Side of the Moon, awesome. And there's one album, I think it's Have a Cigar, I'm not sure. It might even be Dark Side of the Moon. It's been a long time. But there's this one part, I guess you can call it a song, I'd always thought was just a random collection of strange noises. That was fine by me, you know, I enjoyed pretty much everything Pink Floyd's put out. But I listened to it this time, and I guess I'd never really listened to it all that closely, and certainly not in surround sound, you know, I have the volume cranked up. So I'd missed a lot of the details, you know, I thought, okay, it's just, you know, typical kind of random Pink Floyd noises. Then I realized it was the sounds of someone being chased through an airport terminal. You could hear their footsteps, you could hear the footsteps of, to me at least, it sounded like the footsteps of the people chasing them. Sounds of things like airplanes and announcements over the intercom and the echo of their footsteps off the, the tile and the walls. And there was something about kind of seeing that imagery that, I don't know, triggered a sort of prey response maybe in myself. Let's see if I can get over this fence now. The train's going to be loud. And what I mean by that is that I felt as though I was perceiving something chasing me, or observing me, or it was as though the old instinctive, genetically coded, reincarnatively experienced again and again sort of little alarm bell going off in the back of my mind saying, hey, I think there's a tiger in those bushes right there over your shoulder. And as I've said in some of my other squirrels, I used to have super bad nightmares when I was young. And I learned various ways to get over them, combat them, deal with them, embrace them, learn from them. So I still have fucked up dreams constantly. And although I don't remember them nearly as much anymore, I'm usually shoulder hurts and my back hurts or something. I don't get enough deep sleep to actually have good quality dreams anymore, which is a bit of a shame and another topic. But well, shits and giggles, look at that old man squirrel. Don't worry, I'm not that old. I ain't ready for diapers yet, but fuck, some days it feels like it. God damn it, this goddamn squirrels. Okay. Chase through the airport, predator alarm bells. There's a tiger in the bushes. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. So yeah. I felt as though perhaps I was being observed or pursued or chased. And from my experience of combating my own nightmares, I immediately, sort of instinctively, took on the role of predator. Because quite often most things, if they're coming after you in your dreams, are very susceptible to direct confrontation. You know, whatever it is playing on your fears or stems from some sort of subconscious, whatever. You stand up to it, it crumbles like a house of cards and washes away like a castle in the sand. This thing didn't. Now, that being said, it didn't, like, fight back. It bolted. And it's not like I saw something, but it was just it was another mind there, and it was watching me, and it was following me, and it was being subversive about it. And it was somehow guiding a little bit my perceptions and my experiences, and also itself enjoying, like, the music and the effect it was having on me. And I was like, what is this other thing doing in here? Why is it here? What is it? You know, and in a way I was a little bit like, I don't know, not infuriated, slightly insulted perhaps, but it was more like, you know, when you step onto it, like, I don't know, a dog's territory, a dog's house. And it's not the kind of dog that's, like, necessarily vicious, but it's also one of the types of dogs that it's not afraid of you. Like, it just comes right up and it's like, okay, who the fuck are you and why are you in my world? You know? And it was kind of the same thing. Like, that's what I was doing. I was like, who the fuck are you and why are you in my world? So I chased it down. And I can't even begin to put into words what that experience was like. You know, chasing the shadow of a dream through a nightmare. Chasing traces of colored dye upstream through flowing waters, following a scent through a winter forest in a snowstorm. But at one point I did figure out, it was like, I don't know, chasing a hacker through the Matrix, reverse hacking his or her or its line into my experience in my mind. How did it get in the back door? So I chased it out the back door and followed it through the back garden and figured out where the hell. And it's like I grabbed a hold of it. And I popped in through its back door. Well, that sounds dirty. And grabbed a hold of it and looked it right in the eye. Although that's kind of a misnomer because it looks as though it had a head covered in eyes. And tendrils coming out from a base, almost like an octopus or a squid or a spider or some kind of multi-eyed cyber mind at the center of another giant dome or sphere of eyes facing inwards, which connects to it with all these tendrils, and it soaks up information and experience into this cold, vast storehouse of information guided by this consciousness that has been doing this for eons. And it is frightening for that respect, not because it cared anything about me, but because it didn't care at all. It was simply gathering information and experience, and had been doing so for so long that it had become inured to any kind of emotional connection to what was going on, if it had ever experienced what we call emotions. Because indeed our own emotions are a mixture of a sentient conscious response mixed with a physiological response and heightened by it. Remove us from our physiological forms to heighten these emotional responses and they become muted, although they still exist, and in a sort of essence become somewhat purer and more refined. And I got super squirreled there by the mind spider itself. This vast cosmic mind composed of this cyber organic. This is the way I perceived it, okay? It's not actually what it looked like. It was this sort of kind of nexus of energies surrounding a point of consciousness. And the form that my mind gave it when it perceived this energetic construct was of a kind of ball of eyeballs with squid tentacles coming out of a base, all connected to these other inward-facing eyeball of spheres, kind of like Dr. X, or sorry, Professor X in, what's it called, that computer he looks for other mutants in, the Cerebro. Or if you've ever seen the Tool video, Parabola, however the fuck you say it, you should watch it. Because at the end, the figure in the center of that video, kind of in the narrative of the video, has an enlightenment experience, and at the end has sort of a visual kind of thing that kind of looks like sort of what I saw. Yeah. And now we've reached the point where words fail me completely. Because, well, one thing I noticed that really kind of fucked with my mind in a good way was that it was as shocked and surprised that I found it, tracked it down, noticed it, and managed to chase it back to its lair, so to speak, metaphorically. And for, I think, maybe a brief second, perhaps I'm anthropomorphizing, but it was almost startled, almost afraid, because I was giving it no quarter. I had it by the throat, so to speak, and I was like, who the fuck are you and why are you in my head? You know? And it was just kind of like, I got the impression it was just observing. And that, you know, it's like, hey, you ate the fucking mushrooms, like, you know, that's the deal, right? Like, hi. Sort of, you know, like, it didn't speak in English, but that's kind of like what it kind of gave me as an impression. I was like, oh. I was like, so, in a way, you're the mushrooms. And kind of the sensation I got was like, yes. You know, that is the method with which I interact with other realities. It is a manifestation of an aspect of this whatever. There's no word. I can't describe it. I have no fucking idea. So, somehow or other, it and I had come face to face. And I guess for it was just sort of an unusual occurrence. It was usually so used to just interacting with random sort of, like, you know, let's say a bear eats it, or a flip-flobian noob bat from the planet X eats something, or has, you know, sort of experience that puts it into the realm of kind of interactivity with this consciousness. And, you know, it kind of interacts with whatever reality that kind of other consciousness is in, and sort of gains knowledge from that, files it away, but it doesn't often get caught, for instance. Like, it's because it's not in its essence. It didn't seem as though it was trying to have a direct conversation or direct experience. It was just kind of, I was not mindlessly, but indiscriminately gathering information. That's the best way to describe what this thing was doing, from my perspective. So anyway, I asked it, you know, a few questions, and I was like, well, you have information, fine. I was like, anytime I'm doing shrooms, you're welcome to come in my sort of realm of consciousness and perceive the world through my body, or observe where I'm going with my mind. But I said, there's going to be some rules if you're going to do that, and I'm going to do that. I said, you're not allowed to interfere with what I perceive or influence what I perceive. You know, and I may communicate directly with whichever aspect of this consciousness I happen. I don't know if there's more than one, if there's different ones. I seem to have encountered, like, it seems like they have somewhat different personalities, depending on the method with which I encounter them. Now, from my own personal experience, it happens to be different types of you know, magic mushrooms, or psilocybin mushrooms. And they seem to have different flavors of being. You know, I've had ones that grew in hard Canadian mountains, and those were very powerful and aggressive, and they were the ones that gave me the feeling of being hunted, and they were actually the ones that gave me the original experience that launched me into this. I've had ones from South America that grew in a warm climate, in more rounded kind of hills and valleys, and it was honestly a much more playful and feminine experience. Although it can't really be said that, you know, mushrooms have male or female, you know, it's not like that, but the vibrations felt feminine. And like I said, playful and more young, you know, and so I was finding myself having conversations with all these different sort of flavors of being. I think I like that term. I might use that more often, maybe. And I've kind of hit a bit of a dead end, because the rest of them were sort of, you know, vague, sort of non-dramatic experiences, conversations with aspects of myself. You know, various daydreams and meditations. But it was that one primary sort of shockingly unusual, strange, out of my realm of previous experience, type of experience that kind of cracked me open and got me looking into reality and how utterly mind-blowing it can be to encounter something that's completely alien and is looking back at you. But if you know what you're doing and you've taken steps to learn how to protect yourself and how to be strong enough to experience things that are completely out of your realm of experience and not lose your goddamn marbles in the process, although, you know, maybe I have already. That's a subject for debate. I'm sure there's a few psychiatrists, if they've ever watched this, would probably love to poke and pry at me for a while, but you know what, I don't care. I figure, what the fuck, I can be crazy and still be a good person and still treat others with kindness and respect and openness and let them be as crazy as they want, as long as they treat me with kindness and respect and openness. You know, we can all be strange motherfuckers and still get along in peace and enjoy this world and share its resources and not fuck each other in the ass every time we get the chance. You know, unless you're in that sort of thing. You know, hey, as long as it's consensual and everybody's having a good time, then fucking, hey, go nuts, right? Okay, butt sex squirrel. Sunset butt sex squirrel. It almost sounds like a good band name. You know, welcome to the stage, everyone, the Sunset Butt Sex Squirrels. And their new hit, I don't know what. The joke kind of died out. You know what? I think the whole Mind Spiders thing's kind of died out. I'm gonna, you know, keep coming back and touching on this whole weird consciousness thing. I've got a squirrel rolling around in my head about, you know, what it might actually be like, and maybe think about what might actually happen if somebody spends 10, 20, 30, 40,000 years in suspended animation, trying to make a journey to somewhere out there in the galaxy that's you know, light years away and would take that long to get to. And what impact that would have on their kind of conscious, what impact that would have on their conscious evolution and on their being, and would they even want to come back when they got to the other side or the, you know, their destination? But, you know, that's a big squirrel too. So I think I'm kind of good there. You know, I got that mind spider squirrel thing out of my head. I've always kind of wanted to sort of share it with the world and try and make it sort of semi-lucid and understandable, I guess. You know what? Somebody else who's much better at sort of describing conversations with entities discovered through ethnogenic substances. You should probably check out Terence McKenna. There's a lot of YouTube videos of him doing interviews, and he actually asked mushrooms a good question one time. He's like, hey, you know, how do we control human population? And they gave him an interesting answer. You know, so he says, you're welcome to believe it or not, but guy talks a lot of sense. You know, might be crazy, but he's not irrational. Yeah. I don't know. I'm being facetious. I don't think he's crazy, but, you know, watch it, make up your own mind. Be excellent to one another. Don't stop thinking, and, you know, have a good one.